Hi everybody, welcome to the Signal Box today. Happy Easter. Indeed, I hope that you are enjoying your Easter break wherever you are around the world, and I hope that you are refreshed and just chilled this Easter and having a great time, or not eating too many Easter eggs. I can't, unfortunately, because I'm diabetic. But anyway, God bless you this Easter, wherever you're watching from. Anyway, today I thought I would get on with another little conundrum of a model, really, because last night I uploaded the little quick video about repairing or improving a Hornby Margate tender drive loco in terms of the connection, where the loco solely relies on the drawbar pin connection, because there's no separately fitted pickups on the loco mechanism. And on that A4 particularly that you saw on the chassis wise, that has improved it. And when I do get the layout set up again very soon, I'll show you that running, and it definitely has improved it. But today's video is a little bit, as the title suggests, a little bit of a hit and miss, because I wanted to bring into shot something that is a little bit of a hit and miss in this box here. It's got dark all of a sudden, and it's not even twilight time yet. I'll just bring in some extra light, I think. That's better. Okay, so in this little boxy box, it's now the box of bits. It's begun to collect associated parts for 14XX locos. This chassis that you see before you here is from that Hornby Titfield Thunderbolt set. This is the chassis for the 1401, the fictitious loco from the Ealing comedy film. That's awaiting a new chassis, because I tried to repair the chassis on this today and it's just utter rubbish. So I've got that in there. There's a box with all different spares and wheel sets and motors and screws and all the kind of bits that you go with one of these 14XX locos. I've got separately stored away, but this is the box that I'm going to keep this in, mainly for this little beauty here, which you've seen before in my videos. It's quite a nice thing. This is the other 14XX that I've got, and this is the Daypole one, which is basically the same thing as that, basically. Just slightly re-altered when they took it over from Airfix in the 1980s. Yeah, Daypole, a Welsh company, took the Airfix tooling and just completely redid it. So basically, as the title suggests in today's video, hit and miss. So it is a hit and miss with these things, and you either love them or loathe them. And at the moment, I'm sort of in between these particular models. And specifically, these look nice to look at in terms of the basic detail you got on these things. But performance-wise, they are absolutely horrendous. These are really, really not good runners. I've got this to run as best as I can today, and I'll show you really what I've done. Again, that's why I've called it a hit and miss video, because it is a bit of a hit and miss with these things. If you get one or you own one, I'll show you what I've done. A little bit of a modification underneath. I've removed the center drive wheel on here, and I've replaced it with a plain driving wheel. If I bring this in closer, I'll explain more. This middle wheel here normally has a rubber traction tyre on the flange, on that one there and one there. And what happens is, when you actually have that sat on a flat surface, ideally a mirror or your piece of railway track, it has a bit of a seesaw effect. It's even worse than this, but that's because that's sprung, by the way. But normally it has a bit of a seesaw effect, because I'll tell you why. Because the old flanged or the grooved wheel that used to sit here, that contained a special groove in the flange for the traction tyre, so it brought it up, it supposedly brought it up to the same tolerance as the lead driving wheel. But what happened was, it was creating a rocking effect, because this was way too big with the traction tyre on it, and it didn't match up in terms of height with the lead wheel. So you had this seesaw effect with it pivoting on the centre wheel all the time. And it just wasn't very reliable. The other weird thing about this is, I can't get my head around this. Why did Daypole put a set of electrical pickup wipers on the middle wheel when it had a traction tyre? If it's not making electrical contact with the actual running surface of your track, there's no point in having a wiper to pick up current because it's not collecting current technically. The only pickups on this Loco, when it was actually designed from Airfix and then later on retooled by Dapol, was the fact that it had a set of wipers on the rear single wheel underneath the cab, and on the lead wheel on the front here there was a pair of wipers there. So even though there was a pair of wipers in the middle, they were doing nothing because there was rubber tyre creating the insulation properties. So basically it was only picking up from there and from the front, which is no good. And that's why this thing used to stall over point work at very slow speeds and just be quite erratic in general, because it just really was poorly designed from the get-go. I'm talking about when Airfix originally came out with this in about 1977, 78, I believe. And Dapol didn't do that much with it. All they did, they put a more modern Type 4 motor in here and additional separate wipers, as mentioned, on all 6 wheels, with only 4 of them out of 6 picking up. So what I've done today, simply, in my spares box, I had a set of lead driving wheels. These are Dapol driving wheels, by the way. And all I did was I just very carefully took out the pin from the con rod, did one wheel at a time. I noted where the quartering position was and simply changed one wheel at a time for a smoother wheel to match the driving wheel profile. Once I was happy with that, got the quartering right, gently put the con rod and the pin back in, and then flipped it over and repeated the whole process. So what we've got now is a correctly profiled chassis, in terms of we've removed the rubber tied horrible stupid wheel in the middle, and we've put a nice smooth profiled wheel that is correct to the driving wheel in front, because guess what, that's a driving wheel for the front. I've just added that in the middle. So technically we've got all the wheels profiled now, even though there's a spring underneath here which is a little bit too springy for my liking. At least now when you sit it on a flat surface like a table or mirror, as mentioned, or your track, at least the only bounce you've got is because of the rear spring. Other than that, it's quite a nicely sat model. It is a little bit chonky when it runs, and my only answer to that is because really these are not the ideal wheels for it. Ultimately, if you want to get ultra scale like fine cast wheels or something much more better, I could. But then again, it's the old adage of, hit and miss, in terms of, do I spend out more money in buying brand new wheels for this? Then you've got to reprofile the chassis, because the cast iron chassis block, or the cast chassis block that it sits on, isn't the best. It isn't the most wonderfulest of chassis. And even with a bit of a careful reaming or filing, you still couldn't get the thing to be 100% smooth. The only thing I probably might or even would suggest is, or the only idea that I would come up with logically, is to get some separately fitted bearings to put in each side of the axle chassis assembly. So where the slot is cast or filed, should I say, for the axle, to put some separately fitted bearings, some not roller bearings, but some bearings to sit inside there for the axle. Maybe that would improve it. I don't think it would, to be honest with you. It's a little bit of a chonky runner, but having put this wheel in exchange for the old tired one, I will say from my test today, it does run much more better in terms of reliability. It doesn't stall across my point work anymore. I can actually get this down to a crawl. I will show you that and demonstrate that in the next running video. But again, like the video says today, a little bit of a hit and miss. It's a shame, because these really are quite a handsome little tank engine. These push-pull 14 double X's, which typically worked with auto trains, with the auto coach, with it propelling it or pulling it on a little branch line service, or sometimes in the middle of 2 auto coaches doing it that way. But nice to look at, but these are atrociously crap in terms of performance and running. They're not that great. And to be honest with you, I just took a little bit of time today trying to tart this thing up a little bit in simple terms to make it better, and to tart it up and make it look, or not so much look, but perform better, is what I was trying to say. But it's a shame because it is quite a nice looking little thing, but performance wise it's horrendous. So by changing that middle wheel over, I've got to paint that centre wheel black on the rim there just to match the front wheel. But other than that, at least it runs a little bit better, which is what I want. It's a little bit chonky, as I said, a bit clonky. I've checked all the quartering on this in terms of the right quartering for the com rods, set at both angles and all the wheels. There's no wheels rubbing against the chassis, nothing's catching it. It's as smooth as you're going to get with those tyre treads there. There's no scratches or chunks missing out of them, so I wondered if it was that. No, they're perfect. So I think it's just the nature of it. It is quite a chonky little thing. But anyway, it's something that I don't run very often, but I wanted to get it running because to me, in my Loco collection, if something remains in the box, it's not getting run because it doesn't work properly or there's something wrong with it. If I can't repair it, then it goes to eBay for parts and spares. This I'm going to keep, obviously. But if any model railway manufacturer released the same sort of standard as this, my answer would be no. I've seen on eBay you can get these as part of a push and pull set from Hornby. They are notoriously crap because again they've just used the same old style Hornby Daypole and Airfix tooling as before. They've done nothing with it, and these are notoriously unreliable. These are probably okay for if you've got electro frog points or you've got no points on your railway, or you don't have to rely on install frog points. But anybody who just wants to take it out of the box and put it onto a simple layout and run, if you've got no points, it's okay. But if you've got points, then there's a bit of an issue. But this happily now runs across all my install frog points, as you will see from the future video. I'll feature this in, and at least that's one thing to be thankful for. But yeah, these really are, again, as the video suggests today, these are a bit of a hit and miss. So what I've got to do, I've got to source a complete chassis, which is everything below the body, the chassis, the wheels, the pickup, the motor, the lot. I've got 2 spare motors now for these. I've got some wheels, I've got some screws, bits and pieces, chimney screws, everything. What I'm missing is the actual plastic chassis and the wheels and pickups and everything. So this is the old 1401. Whoops. This was actually from the illegal Hornby Titfield Thunderbolt set they released. I say illegal because it was illegal for a while because Hornby did a very naughty thing, you see. They didn't go to Studio Canal, which is the company that owned the rights to the Ealing comedy Titfield Thunderbolt. And they branded their product as an official Titfield Thunderbolt set with all the labelling and imagery to do with the film, and they didn't consult the film owners, and they got into a little bit of legal hot water over it, and so they bloody well should. Whereas Rapido went the right way and approached the film company owners and quite happily write some very, very nice Titfield sets with the Titfield Thunderbolt logo. Anyway, so this is just sitting in my spares box right now, folks. I've got to get a chassis to go with this. I'll source one. If it means that I've got to buy another 14XX off eBay, I might do. I might not. Like I said, it really is a hit and miss with these things. It's a shame, but you know, another project for another day. If this never gets run again for a good while, I'm not going to lose sleep over it because like I said, if I get a chassis for this, the first thing I'm going to do is replace that centre wheel with a normal standard driving wheel from the front, so they all match up like what I've done with that. So at least it'll have a half decent chance of running. The only downside this model is now going to have is because there's no rubber tyre on the middle, it will mean that it will only be very limited to what it can pull. Like in the actual real life fact, in real life, these little locos only really pulled an auto coach, maybe a 2 or 3 coach train maximum, a couple of little wagons, and that was its limit. These wouldn't pull very long trains or heavy trains, no way. It'd be too much for it. So in model scale form, this will do very light work, which is fine by me. And like I said, it hardly comes out the box. I hardly run it. But it's got a little character there, and I like this one because it's in black, and I didn't have one of these before. So anyway, so it really is, as I said, a hit and miss. So it's one of those things, but there we go. The Airfix ones that I remember as a kid, my first tank engine as a child in Christmas 1980, I got the Airfix green one with the green BR crest in the middle there. And again, that was a great thing, and it ran very well on my little layout that I got for Christmas. But that's because there was no point work involved in my layout. As time went on and I added points and started building a more serious model railway layout, I found out I didn't like those points too much. Again, a bit of a design fault there with Airfix, notoriously not very good. But anyway, the overall summary of these things, if you're thinking about getting one of these, they really are, as I say it again, a hit and miss. You can do what I've done. Just simply remove the centre tied wheel and replace it with a standard driving wheel as on the front, and put one in the middle, and that will definitely improve the electrical contact now, because you've now got a proper electrical connection, because there is a pickup now connecting that wheel and that wheel electrically. Because when you actually take this wheel off, surprise, surprise, as you lift it off carefully, you'll see right behind there's an electrical pickup wiper just sitting there. And you think, well, why is that sitting there if there's rubber here? It makes no sense, because it's picking up nothing. It's not doing anything. So if you put a live wheel on there now, at least it will pick up on here, and also on here, on the other side as well. So you've got 6 wheels picking up electricity from your track. So that has got to be a good thing. Like I said, it's a bit chonky, but hey-ho, it's the best we got. Anyway, I think that's it. So I'm going to say cheerio. Happy Easter, God bless you wherever you are. I want to give a shout out, actually. I do watch your videos as well. I want to give a shout out to Eric, who's the chap that models Soviet Union and UK stuff. He's just switched his layout around now to German stuff, I think, or Soviet stuff. I think it's German. It looks really good. Love that. And I do watch all your stuff, by the way. And there's a chap I was watching last night in our community. I think his name is Iron Horse Railways, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, he's been going through a few personal things, but he was very upset in his video because same old story as me. And I did actually send him a comment saying the following, that I had the same problem. His landlord has given him and his family the notice that he's wanting to sell the property, and he's had to, or is in the process of literally tearing up his hard work on his layout, and tearing it all and dismantling it all up, and how stressful that is. I mean, I had a very, very hard time doing that with my 10-foot layout in my previous address, and I never thought I'd run trains again. And this guy's kind of at the same stage, but the news is, he shared within his video that where he's moving to, him and his family, there's a separate room that's going to be dedicated for his layout, which is a bonus. Now with me, I haven't got that luxury, I'm afraid. My layout has to go on 2 fold-up tables very temporarily, and it gets set up every single Saturday, and then it gets de-wired, everything's carefully put away, and then it gets stored upright next to my bed. So I don't have the luxury of a separate railway room like what this chap's going to have. But the thing is, whether you've got the space or not, if that happens to you in life, never give up, because there's always new beginnings. Things are never, ever terrible for long. There's always hope. And to me, that's what Easter's about, new beginnings. So if that chap is listening out there, or you've seen the video, I did send him a well-wishing message, because if anyone hurts in their community over a layout in terms of a house move and the layout's got to be destroyed, or it's affecting them, because I don't know, it seems to me lately that the last, I think the last 10 years, our wonderful hobby of railway modelling, no matter whether it's a shelf layout, a big massive layout, or something small, it's just been so good for the mental wellness, especially when we had things like COVID happen and just life in general. And I think it's keeping yourself active in the hobby of ours, is what really is helpful. Anyway, having said that, happy Easter everybody, and I'll see you soon in the next video. And I'll get this running, by the way, and we'll see what she can do. I've already given it a quick test run this afternoon on the layout. I just quickly brought the baseboard down and very temporary connected it up. And yeah, she does run electrically much better. So I think we can bring this out a little bit more often, hopefully. And yeah, that's it. Anyway, big shout out to you guys that normally follow my channel and normally comment and like and subscribe. And to the rest of you, have a wonderful Easter, whatever you're up to with you and the family. I'm very envious of all the chocolate being out there because I can't have none. But there we go. At least I got my trains. There we are. See you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.